Welcome back to Political Soul Food. Tonight we're talking about the sexism we see in the presidential campaign coming up here. And so I got something to say to y'all out here. Stop fronting on female presidential candidates. That's what we're going to talk about. So get ready. Let me bring everybody in so that we can get started. It's good to see y'all. And it's good to be back on Monday night. Political Soul Food. We'll be right back after this intro break. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's nice to see Cindy here on Facebook. It's nice to see Tiana here on IG and YouTube fam. Hello. Tonight, I want to talk about people fronting on female candidates. Time to get over it. It is time to get over it. There's an interesting piece here that I recommend y'all all check out. It's in the Washington Post by Margaret Sullivan, and it's called "How Sexist Will the Media's Treatment of Female Candidates Be? Rule out, not at all." She's right. You know we're going to see sexism. It's happening. It's happening already. We saw it in Hillary Clinton's run for the 2016 presidential seat, and we're going to see it again. And actually, we're seeing it again right now. And I'm unfortunately sad to say that this is not just a Republican issue. There are many on the left falling in line with bigotry and sexism and misogyny. And I am witnessing a lot of dudes, even within my own African American camp, just show their sexist behinds off. It is unbelievable how they try to come up with excuses as if they were truly concerned about certain issues rather than the fact that a particular candidate is a woman. And for those who think they're not sexist, it's really amazing. Sometimes humorous, and it's unfortunate to see that some people don't even recognize how they are judging men and women differently according to their sex. And this article really brings out a lot of what many in media, many political theorists have been noticing. And I might be preaching to the choir here, but I just know I need to talk about it. And so I'm speaking to my community to help echo these waves so that way it can touch the ears of those who need to hear this. Stop being sexist. Wake up. And especially those who think they're woke. I'm just going to get on my brothers real fast, right? Because I'm going to talk about family. And my sisters, too. You hear people talk about a woman should not be president because, well, she won't be able to deal with the real world. I heard that. I also hear then when a woman is tough enough, she is not in her element. And it's just go on and on and on. So the kinds of things that the average man male politician on the left and on the right get away with. All right, guys can get away with being rude. Guys can get away with being impatient. Guys can get away with being indecent. Guys can get away with all sorts of misbehaviors. And we just write it off as, he's just a dude, just a guy. I mean, our recent Supreme Court justice gets away with sexual assault because he was just being a boy. But we get an intelligent woman. We get a woman who is secure in her own skin and in her body. We get a woman who recognizes her own potential. Then we got all of these conspiracies. Oh my goodness. You know, she's just power hungry. She's just money hungry. I don't trust her. I don't like the way she sounds when she talks. She just thinks she knows everything. Oh, look at her. And I'm like, wait a minute. These are the qualities that you felt were necessary for a person to be a leader. For a person to be prepared to deal with the environment, the political environment. Hillary possessed those qualities, and she gets called out on them. I mean, Bernie, and I'm not talking politically. Bernie's rhetoric and his temperament is very fiery. I mean, this guy, well, he will blow up on you in a quick second. You know how Bernie gets down. And I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's a problem, but I am saying that his volume, his energy level is much more intense than Hillary Clinton's. But she's looked at as the war hawk. And then people try to talk about policies, and that's a whole nother thing. I just remind people. People say, oh, Hillary, what has she done for black people? And she's a threat for us. And I was like, well, your boy Bernie did sign it. I always like to bring that out. People don't want to let other things go. I ain't going to let that go. So we can talk about the policies at another time. But in terms of personal characteristics, there's a double standard here. And as a dude, I'm telling my other brothers, yo, the more you fall into sexism, the more you actually prompt up white supremacy, racism, because they feed off of each other. They feed off of each other in the same kind of environment. Each gives the other nutrition to stick around. And there's no wonder why the majority of Congress is dominated by older white men. Okay? And that is not proportionate to the diversity in our society. We got a problem with that. So each time people invest in traditional masculinity, I won't touch on people's nerves and call it toxic masculinity. Let's just say traditional masculinity, because that's enough. That's where the sexism is. It's right in there. And so this piece did well to bring some stuff out here. It starts off with, I'll read a little bit here. If you think the media treatment of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign was not seriously marred by sexism, please proceed directly to social media, Fox News, my email, or wherever trolls gather. She's absolutely right. Sexism was all over Hillary Clinton's presidential campaigns. And we're seeing it now. We are seeing it now. It's unfortunate that her gender played a huge role. And again, this is on the left and on the right. On the left and on the right. And so basically there were some, false equivalencies between Hillary and Trump. So let me just show you some of the stuff she says here. I'll tell you some things she said, and I'll offer some feedback on it and give some of my own anecdotes. So here's an example that someone gave. Let's see here. So this is Hillary Clinton example in her book, What Happened, her post-election book. And so she writes, if Trump ripped the shirt off someone at a rally and a button fell off my jacket on the same day, she wrote, the headlines would report, Trump and Clinton experienced wardrobe malfunctions. Campaigns in turmoil. Right? You see how Trump's violent behavior gets conflated with just some, random, event where, somebody's button pop off. And that happens all the time. This is why the crazy and vile things Trump says don't stick, and why he's able to talk about other people's so-called transgressions. The way he tried to come after Ilhan Omar, Representative Ilhan Omar. He is going to call for her resignation for making anti-Semitic comments. Meanwhile, first of all, it wasn't anti-Semitic because she didn't talk about an entire ethnic group and disparage them. No, she was talking about APEC. However, I think it was in the last show, an example, well, a bunch of examples of Trump playing up that trope of Jews wanting only money, being negotiators, and only looking out for the best deals. Okay? But we don't see that. We don't remember that. I mean, not only is there a hypocrisy that's endemic among races when it comes to a white man doing something versus a woman of color doing something, but also it's important to note that as a man, he gets away with just talking on the cuff, whereas a female, her words are going to be analyzed. All right, she's going to be required to dot every I, cross every T. Can you imagine that? So it's unfair. It's unfair. And this is what we're going to see in the presidential elections. We're going to see this double standard in the presidential elections. Listen, people used to say this country is not ready for a woman. We're ready for a woman. In fact, how do we know? Because there's so many women running. And if you think about, especially among Democrats, which constituency is the highest performing? It's women. Shout out to the women. Listen, y'all gonna have to save us, like Obama mentioned. Listen, we need y'all. Don't be listening to these fools out here. Please, I'm asking all of you, do your thing in your life, wherever you are. We need you. We need you, woman. In every station of society, we need you. We need you. Because the fellas, we ain't doing nothing but messing stuff up. I'm just telling you right now, coming from a brother, we need you, ladies. So, the time is now, fellas. There's nothing you can do about it, because the women, they're just coming out to the party, barbecuing us. Ha! So, have you seen sexism play a role in the rhetoric surrounding Kamala Harris, Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, and the senator from Minnesota, I think Amy Klobuchar? It's crazy. It's an epidemic. It's an epidemic. The sexism is an epidemic. None of them can do anything without such a furious backlash. And that's on top of the way social media works and news, right? I mean, we look for any flaw or blemish or any problem to highlight, right? That's ratings, that's clicks, you got clickbait, so they want to feed into that already, but there's even more of an appetite for that, particularly along the lines of sexism. In other words, if we see a woman talking all powerful, then she's going to be a great prompt for mockery, one way or another. So, these women who are in a race, I salute them, and I salute all of you who are doing your thing as leaders, as facilitators, just as citizens. All that you do, thank you so much. And there are guys out here who get it. I get it, and that's why I'm talking about it right now, because I know my homeboys listen to this show every once in a while, or they sit near me and listen to me, and I'm calling us out. I ain't gonna say no names, but I'm calling us out. Cut it with the sexism. Cut it with the sexism. Let me read a few passages here that I think are dope. So Margaret Sullivan, she says, in politics, as in so many other spheres, women get bashed far more than their male counterparts for personality quirks, vulnerabilities, and actions of all sorts. That's messed up. That is just so messed up, right? So, like I say, politics, people think that politics is only what you see in Capitol Hill. Politics is only what you see on C-SPAN. No, because that stuff, well, actually, that stuff comes out of the culture and translates into politics. So when we see politics, you're just actually seeing a reflection of culture. So, and this passage that I just read is reminding us that it's in our everyday society. It's in our minds. This is how we think about the world, how we view other individuals. We view and we evaluate based on gender and sexuality. Now, of course, it's going to be in politics. So this is really an indictment on our culture more than it is in politics. Because politics is nothing more than an extension of our culture, of our lives. Just one aspect of it. And so, the way to address this, one way to address it, obviously through policy, but also through our conversations with our fellow male citizens. But ladies, don't bite my head off of this. Don't bite my head for what I'm about to say. There are a lot of women I notice who actually perpetuate sexism too. Yes. And for some that I've spoken to, and I'm going to be careful, I'm going to tread lightly, slowly, watch my words. I don't want to get in trouble here, but it's real. Some, for religious reasons, certain religious views hold that there is a hierarchy of sex, particularly in the household and in society at large, in every aspect of our lives. And so a lot of women are carrying out sexism not because of, I don't know if it's bad to say, of their own choosing, but because of the demands of their culture or their upbringing. I mean, to be fair, I mean, you would like, I would like to think and say that, you know, by the time we get a certain age, you know, we understand what a certain aspect of our culture, religion, or certain other systems are asking of us. But I do see that usually the explanation is not because of, like, thinking about it via our own common sense or a general objective sense of justice. Is usually just like referring to like a scripture. Like, oh, well, it says in this scripture that, you know, woman should be quiet in church, or, you know, a woman should obey her husband, yada yada yada, right? And so when someone just refer to a scripture like that, then, you know, I try to be a little bit more understanding of where they're coming from, even though I would still disagree. But that's something that we have to take into account of. Others, they get it from, you know, sort of like a pseudoscience kind of education, where they take a look at a National Geographic show and they see the male lion sitting on top of a rock while the female lions are around taking care of the kids, and that's like, well, this is nature. It's not just God or someone telling us. If we look at nature, and obviously they're looking at one particular animal, right, and not the many others where we can draw examples from. And not to mention that we have different natures, different needs, we have different attributes, and that we should measure things based on our attributes, being able to think. And Mary Wollstonecraft, the feminist in the 18th century, British feminist, she broke down those excuses, and her refutation is on point. And I might even just talk about that one day. But then you have those who just fall in line with the culture at large, not really being religious, or not really looking for examples in nature or asking Mother Nature, just, you know, kind of going with the flow. And that's tricky. I mean, I think people from that point of view are actually more amenable. We can have conversations with them because, you know, if they accept all things that are heard in their culture as being potentially or equally valid, then they're probably more likely to consider another way of thinking about a situation if they can be persuaded to think for that reason. in a way. But anyway, just I guess I'm beating around the bush here. There are women who promote sexism, and we've seen that with Trump. I mean, Trump did well among white women. They promoted sexism, and they, and probably to make sure they reinforce their racial worldview of the world, and which meant, perpetrating sexism against another woman. And so that's that. It's isn't it sad that we kind of have to have these kinds of talks, or just this is our reality? And I know it can be very tiring for many people, but I'm asking you to stay in the game, because we've come a long way. We've come a long way. There's no need to really go backwards. Just keep pushing through. In fact, if you want to know, if you need evidence that things are really improving, I think we should look at the rage from men and from conservatives. If this society was indeed an American Garden of Eden, where white supremacy reigned freely, without competition, without any threats, then there wouldn't be the kind of rage we see now, right? Especially the rage after President Barack Obama. So much has changed, and has it translated into a permanent reality? Not yet, but there's a lot of shifts, and one of these shifts is the increase of women in politics, the increase of women taking their stake in American society. We're seeing it, and guys are trying so hard to deny it, and others are very proactively trying to stop it. But listen, as a dude, I'm telling you right now, I got your back. I'm behind all of you. So keep doing your thing. So to all the presidential female candidates, do your thing. I have my favorite. My favorite is Kamala Harris. I'll let you know right now. But you probably have your favorites, and even you might prefer a dude. Some people like Beto O'Rourke. That's cool. I like him too. And it doesn't mean, just because you prefer a male candidate doesn't mean, hey, you're automatically sexist or whatever like that. No, it's not like that. It's just like the reasons why, you have to watch out for the double standards. So, yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. So let me get back on track. There's so much. So yeah, I'm for Harris, but Warren, run, do your thing, Warren. I just like the fact that they are kicking down the doors. Like I said, I have my preferences, and it's okay for us to have our preferences. But I really think that it's a good sign that there's so many women. And what it does is it reduces the excuse. And this is what Margaret Sullivan brought out here. It reduces the excuse that, hey, I would vote for a woman, but there's just not one that really fits the bill for me. Because there's so few, and I shouldn't just be stuck with one woman. That was a common one used against voting for Hillary Clinton. For those who were trying to keep their cover, they would say, well, just because she's a woman doesn't mean I should take her. I need a woman who fits the bill. Now, these women all represent a spectrum of policies and politics, rhetoric, interests. Okay, connections, of course, but they represent a spectrum. You can't tell me there's not one here you can't find to support. Let's see here. We got a comment here. Comment from Denise on Facebook. Women do promote and easily buy into sexism. My very traditional mom till this day prefers not to be in a car or bus with a female driver. So that's one of the instances. Thanks for sharing that. That's one of the instances, of culture, right? And as I mentioned, from that perspective, it's quite understandable, because when we grow up in a certain culture, we take in some of the directives of that culture, right? And that's something that every generation deals with, right? The multi-generational members of a family are dealing with the different cultures that each of them grew up in. And obviously, there are some meta cultures that sort of still hang over everyone, but there are some shifts. And I think through conversation, as I say, change the world one conversation at a time, we could expose people to the shifts in our country and our culture that are actually healthy. And I think once they see that they're healthy, then fine, they'll begin to make some kind of adjustments or change. Not everything. They probably wouldn't turn away from everything that they grew up in, but at least it can help to reduce the stereotypes and the prejudices that could be far worse, particularly when it comes to politics, right? So not getting in a car with a female driver versus like never ever voting for a female president, they're maybe on the same continuum, but they're far apart, right? And so we can help people sort of, move along the continuum if they continue in that continuum based on culture, and that small shift is enough to help reinforce our society's values when it comes to respecting women. So yeah, this is a real deal. I know some of the dudes might be yawning like, oh man, I don't feel like talking about that. But hey, we got to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it here in Political Soul Food. I'm going to try to tap into as much as I can. I'm not going to be quiet anymore. I really feel bad. I mean, let me just deviate here before I bounce. I was kind of quiet when Obama during his first term, and it was a lot I could have shared, a lot I could have exposed people to, and myself. But I was quiet, and then when I seen the low voter turnout among my friends and family, I realized that I'm partly responsible. I'm partly responsible because I didn't say anything. I didn't remind anybody to vote. I didn't say anything, and here I am trying to say, oh, we gotta make it happen. Like I didn't even do nothing in making it happen, so I can't get mad at somebody I know for not voting. I mean, obviously we're talking about adults and they should be responsible, but politics still is all about dealing with people and engaging people, right? And we're all politicking because everybody, in one way or another, is sharing information or encouraging people to make one choice rather than another, right? And so I'm encouraging people to help make the society a better place, and I think that one way to do that is by voting in people who are less likely to destroy this place and make it a garbage dump. So sexism is going to go crazy this round because so many women are in politics, and so you might have to check those dudes. And some of you might be like, listen, I ain't trying to get into no conversation and waste my time. I feel you. I'm learning that some conversations are not worth having. I get you. So don't wear yourself out. I get you. However, just remember that somehow, some way, in the way that we do it, in the way that we're comfortable doing it, we have to try to make a difference. And that just might be with your family members, with your loved ones, or close friends. And if that's it, then that's it. But you got to do something, all right? And we're all not going to do the same thing, so that's fine. And everybody's not going to be like me and just be like, start talking about politics for any and every person. All right, that's me. I'm going to be in the train station, wait for the train, and then get into a conversation about religion, history, politics, whatever, and sit there and talk for hours with someone that I don't know who is disagreeing with everything that I'm talking about, right? So that happens. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call in, I got a few minutes for you to call in. 202-505-0250. That's the Political Soul Food call-in number, 202-505-0250. It's a nice number. I can remember it without too much brain work because I haven't repeated the number in a week, almost, maybe a little less than a week. And like, wait a minute, do I remember the number? It's like that would be embarrassing if I didn't remember it here. But yeah, so that's it. This is a cool piece. So check this piece out. There are a lot of stuff here I didn't read, but I think you get the gist of it. So we're going to see the sexism, and I'm sorry, ladies, it's still here and it's going to be here for some time. But know that there are a lot of guys, including myself, who are standing up, who are standing against it. And I'm so excited about this. I am just so excited. You know, I don't like I'm not saying I would pick every female candidate, but I just love seeing all the female candidates. Every last one of those candidates up here are capable. Put away my particular political agenda, whatever, or preference. They're all capable. That's dope. That's dope. It's wonderful. You might not have to like them. It's fine. But they're all capable. That's dope. No excuses, bros. I'm probably irritating people. Yeah, we're going to have a female president very soon. Very soon. I hope it's this round. But it's happening. It is happening. Okay. So I'm getting ready to tune out, folks. I want to thank you all for sharing your time here with me and your comments. I really appreciate it. I know, you know, it takes time out of your life to come and tune into Political Soul Food. But I'm here. I'm going to be here always Monday through Thursday, and then occasionally on the weekends, maybe do some special shows. This week should be fun. I plan to have a guest on Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So on one of the days, on Thursday, I have a call-in guest, and we're supposed to talk about our roles, or should we feel burdened to give back? Should black people think about giving back if they make it out of the hood or do well? Let me know what you think about that. And so make sure you call in. She's going to call in for that one. That's going to be on Thursday. I have another guest on Wednesday. I think I might talk about criminal justice or maybe white women voted for Trump and women in sexism. So I'm going to work out the topic for that. I'm going to keep that posted. So that should be exciting too. So I'm going to have a lady on that one. And tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be speaking to pastor, and we're going to get into a lot of issues dealing with. You know what? I can talk to y'all here. I don't know if he's on now. Is he on? So I'm going to propose that we may talk about the black church and the black experience. Has the black church been helpful for black people? And also, what can the black church do for people today? All right, so maybe I'll ask him some of those questions, and then also give him, you know, I'm not trying to come after him on that stuff, but these are some issues. Like if you watch like some of the threads that are going on social media, and even like a lot of discussions on YouTube, a lot of African Americans are like challenging Christianity, because like there are so many aspects of it that like perpetuates racism or deference to the white establishment in so many ways. And so that's something to talk about. People actually have questions or made their judgment and so forth. So for someone who is, you know, a minister and who is continuing the work of the church as a black man, I think that would, you know, it would be interesting for him to engage some of those questions. And so I might tell him, check out my video and look at what I'm plotting to ask you about. So I'm gonna let you know if that happens. I'm looking forward to having that discussion tomorrow, so I'll keep you posted. Either way, I'm going to be on tomorrow. So I want to thank you all for chiming in. I see GD Stokes up in the house. I see Dr. Marshall coming in the house on Facebook. On Instagram. So we're going to sign off tonight. I wish all of you a great night. Thanks for tuning in to Political Soul Food. Listen, try to make this place better, one conversation at a time. I am on Patreon. Patreon is a place where you can go to support artists who are making creative content, informational content, and if this is the kind of content you want to see continue, consider checking me out on Patreon. at Patreon, patreon.com/my name, Kassan Henry. And more importantly, just do your best to help somebody make it through this world one more day at a time.